If this reached you today, your frequency has already shifted more than you realize. You've crossed the minimum threshold. It wasn't a coincidence. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a cafe when a book fell off the shelf beside me. No one around, no wind. It just fell. I picked it up. It was about quantum physics and consciousness. Page 47 was open. It contained exactly the answer I had been thinking about 5 minutes earlier. In that moment, I understood. Certain information only arrives when your frequency is ready to receive it. You're not the one searching. You were found. And that's exactly what's happening now. You didn't stumble upon this video. Something within you recognized the signal before your mind could process it. In the next few minutes, you'll see the 5 patterns that prove you're already operating on a different frequency, and they explain everything that's been happening in your life. Vibrational coherence isn't mysticism, it's emotional mathematics. When I changed my internal frequency, my external luck shifted within 72 hours. Opportunities I had chased for years appeared effortlessly. The right people showed up out of nowhere. Not because the universe favored me, but because my resonance changed. The universal intelligence has no religion. It has precision. And you're already tuned to its frequency. You know that feeling when your chest tightens and your mind races? That's fear contracting your field. It's not poetic. It's physics. When you operate from anxiety, you're broadcasting a frequency that repels what you want. But here's what nobody tells you. Clarity doesn't come from figuring everything out. It comes from stopping. Just stopping. Like dirty water in a glass. The moment you quit stirring, the sediment settles, and suddenly you can see through. Your nervous system knows this. It's been waiting for you to notice. I learned this the hard way 3 years ago. I had 2 job offers on the table. One paid more, looked impressive, fed my ego. The other felt right but made no logical sense. I chose from contraction, the money, the status, the fear of missing out. 6 months later, I was exhausted, miserable, out of alignment. Then last year, same situation. This time I chose from expansion. Took the smaller opportunity that resonated with my core. Within weeks, it opened doors I couldn't have imagined. Same decision point, different frequency, completely different reality. That's how coherencia works. It's not about the choice itself, it's about the state you're in when you choose. You've probably experienced this without naming it. Those moments when synchronicities stack up like cosmic breadcrumbs. You think about someone, they text. You need an answer. A book falls open to the exact page. You consider a move, and 3 unrelated people mention the same city in one day. That's not coincidence, that's confirmation. The campo quantico responding to your alignment. It's like GPS recalibrating. When you're in resonancia with your true path, the universe doesn't just support you, it conspires with you. Usually within 24 to 48 hours. I've tested this dozens of times. It's reliable as gravity. Here's something you can do right now. Stop reading for 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Just watch your breath, not controlling it, witnessing it. Notice where it goes. Chest, belly, throat. Notice the quality, shallow, deep, erratic, smooth. This isn't meditation, it's diagnosis. Your breath reveals your frequencia in real time. If it's tight and high, you're contracted. If it's full and low, you're expanded. That's your internal compass. That's how you verify alineamiento moment to moment. No guru needed, no ceremony required. Just you and your awareness. Most people skip this part. They chase techniques, rituals, manifestation hacks. But none of it works if you're broadcasting from fear. You can visualize all day, but if your nervous system is in survival mode, you're shouting into a hurricane. The real work? Learning to recognize contraction the second it starts. Catching yourself before the spiral. Choosing expansion even when it feels vulnerable. Even when logic screams otherwise. That's the threshold. And what comes next? Well, once you master this internal shift, you'll start noticing patterns that prove you're no longer playing by the old rules. This isn't about vision boards or wishing harder. It's about making an internal decision so complete that your external reality has no choice but to reflect it. You don't chase, you choose. Then you watch the path unfold like a red carpet you didn't know was there. I decided to leave a toxic partnership 2 years ago. Didn't have a plan, didn't have backup, just knew it was done internally. Within 48 hours, someone I hadn't spoken to in 5 years reached out with an opportunity that changed everything. That's not luck. That's coherentia collapsing possibilities into form. It's like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check progress. You trust the invisible work happening beneath the surface. You start knowing things before your brain catches up. A gut feeling that screams don't go even when everything looks fine. Then later you find out there was an accident on that route, or that event turned toxic, or that person wasn't who they seemed. This happened to me last summer. I canceled a business meeting last minute. No logical reason, just a knowing. Found out 2 weeks later the investor was running a scam. My rational mind had zero data. But my field? It was already reading the frequencia. Think of yourself as a radio antenna. When you're tuned to the right station, you pick up signals others miss. Not because you're special, because you're clear. The noise is gone, so the signal comes through. You take the wrong turn that ends up being exactly right. Miss your flight and meet someone who changes your trajectory. Get fired from the job that was slowly killing you, then land in your purpose 3 months later. I once got lost driving to a conference, ended up at a gas station where I overheard a conversation that gave me the missing piece to a project I'd been stuck on for months. Coincidence? No. Quantum navigation. Your higher self is operating like a GPS that sees all routes simultaneously. It nudges you off the logical path because it's reading variables your conscious mind can't process. It recalculates in real time based on the campo quantico, not the map. The right people appear at the impossible moment. Not a second too early, not a beat too late. You meet someone at a coffee shop who happens to know exactly what you need to know. A stranger becomes a mentor. A random conversation becomes a collaboration. Last year, I was struggling with a technical problem way outside my expertise. Sat down at a park bench, frustrated. Guy next to me started talking. Turns out he'd solved that exact problem in his field. Gave me the framework in 10 minutes. Never saw him again. That's the campo quantico assembling your ecosystem. Every person is a piece of a puzzle only you can complete. Not because you're manifesting them, because your resonancia is calling in matching frequencies. Old situations resurface to check if you've really changed. That ex who texts after months, that family drama that used to trigger you, that financial scare that used to paralyze you. But this time, you don't bite. You observe, you breathe, you choose differently. I had this happen 6 months ago. Exact scenario that would have sent old me into a 3-day spiral. I watched it happen like a movie, felt the pull, didn't follow it, responded from my new operating system instead. The situation dissolved in hours. It's like a video game. You face the same boss, but now you've leveled up. New skills, new perspective, same test. The universe isn't punishing you. It's confirming your upgrade. And once you pass these tests consistently, you unlock a level most people don't even know exists. I'm about to show you what that looks like. Humility isn't weakness. It's the most magnetic frequencia you can broadcast. The moment you stop needing to prove anything, everything starts coming to you. I spent years hustling, convincing, pushing doors open with my shoulder. Exhausting. Then something shifted. I stopped performing, stopped needing validation. Just focused on doing the work nobody sees. Within a month, opportunities I'd been chasing for years showed up at my doorstep. People I admired reached out. Doors I'd been banging on swung open effortlessly. Not because I got better at marketing, because I stopped leaking energy through my ego. Think of a magnet. It doesn't chase metal. It doesn't convince. It just is. And everything aligned with its field gets pulled in naturally. Service versus ego. This is the divider. When you help someone to feel important, you drain both of you. When you help because your cup is overflowing and it's natural to pour, you elevate the entire field. I used to volunteer at events, but my real motivation was networking, being seen, building my brand. Felt hollow. Now, I help because it expands me. I share because I have excess. The difference in return is staggering. Ego-driven service creates debt and expectation. Expansion-driven service creates resonantia and circulation. It's like breathing. You don't exhale to impress anyone. You exhale because you're full. And the campo quantico knows the difference. Integrity is your invisible magnetic field. When what you do in private matches what you say in public, you become a walking tuning fork of truth. People feel it even if they can't name it. 3 years ago, I had a chance to cut a corner on a project. Nobody would have known. I chose the harder, honest route. Cost me time and money up front. But that decision created a ripple. 6 months later, that same integrity led to the biggest opportunity of my career. Because someone was watching, not my work, but my character. Your private choices broadcast a frequency louder than any marketing. You can't fake alineamento. You can't Photoshop coherencia. What you are in the dark determines what you attract in the light. The universe rewards congruence, not perfection. You don't need to be a saint. You need to be real. When your actions align with your values, even when it costs you something, you create a magnetic field that pulls in people and circumstances that match that frequency. I've seen this play out dozens of times. The person who gossips attracts gossipers. The person who honors their word attracts trustworthy collaborators. The person who celebrates others' wins attracts celebration for their own. It's not karma in some cosmic punishment sense. It's resonantia. You attract what you are, not what you want. And when you embody integrity as a baseline, not a strategy, you become a magnet for everything that's trying to find you. Most people think ethics are rules you follow to be good. But mature ethics? That's recognizing you're a transmitter affecting the field constantly. Your choices ripple. Your energy impacts the collective campo quantico, whether you intend it or not. So the question isn't, what can I get away with? It's, what frequency do I want to broadcast? Once you shift to that level of responsibility, manipulation becomes impossible. Force becomes unnecessary. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing what's already yours to arrive. And when you combine this magnetic integrity with how you manage your daily energy, that's when you step into a level of power most people only read about. Every single decision you make is a vote of energy. Where you spend your attention, who you give your time to, what content you consume, each one either charges your battery or drains it. Think about your phone. You wouldn't leave 47 apps running in the background and wonder why it dies by noon. Yet that's exactly what most people do with their life force. They leak energy through toxic conversations, scroll through rage-bait content, stay in environments that suffocate their frequencia, then wonder why they can't manifest anything. Your energia is currency. Spend it like your reality depends on it, because it does. The campo quantico responds to your energetic signature, not your intentions. I restructured my entire life around this principle 2 years ago. Cut my morning routine down to 3 non-negotiables. 10 minutes of silence before looking at my phone, movement that gets me in my body, and setting one intention for the day. Sounds simple, but it changed everything. I also audited every relationship, every commitment, every habitual scroll. If it didn't elevate my frequency or serve my alignment, it got cut or renegotiated. My calendar went from chaos to spaciousness. My energy went from scattered to focused. And my results? They tripled. Not because I worked harder, because I stopped bleeding power into things that weren't mine to carry. Coherencia isn't something you find. It's something you protect fiercely. Here's what nobody tells you. People will guilt you for establishing boundaries. They'll call you selfish, distant, too spiritual. That's their fear talking. When you stop being available for dysfunction, it triggers everyone who's still swimming in it. I lost friends when I stopped engaging in complaint sessions. I disappointed family when I stopped showing up to draining gatherings out of obligation. But here's what I gained. 3 real friends who match my frequency, family time that actually nourishes me, and mental space to create the life I'm living now. You're not abandoning people. You're honoring your resonantia, and the ones meant for your next chapter, they rise with you or they arrive new. Your non-negotiables are your anchor. Mine are simple. I don't start my day in reaction mode. I don't consume content that breeds fear or comparison. I don't say yes when my body says no. These aren't rules. They're rhythms that keep me tuned to my frequency. I guard them like treasure, because I've seen what happens when I don't. 1 week of slipping, late nights, reactive mornings, saying yes to everything, and my entire field destabilizes. Synchronicities stop, clarity clouds, opportunities stall. But the moment I return to my non-negotiables, within 48 hours, alineamento restores. It's that precise. It's that reliable. Your daily practices aren't extra. They're everything. The most powerful decision I ever made was treating my energy like sacred ground. No explanation needed, no justification required. Just a quiet, firm, this doesn't serve my frequency, and moving on. At first it felt selfish. Then I noticed something. The people who respected my boundaries became my strongest allies. The opportunities that matched my energy amplified. The life I was trying to force started flowing naturally. You don't owe anyone access to your field. You don't need permission to protect your peace. And when you finally treat your energy as the most valuable resource you have, you stop living by default and start designing by resonance. Now, what happens when you take this level of energetic stewardship and apply it to how you move through the world without saying a word? That's where the real magic lives. You don't need to announce who you've become anymore, you just emit it. Like a radio tower broadcasting a signal, the work happens internally, the reach happens automatically. I stopped posting about my spiritual journey, stopped explaining my process, stopped trying to convince anyone of anything, just lived it. And the strangest thing happened. People started reaching out. I don't know why, but I thought of you. Something told me to call you. Can we talk? I need your perspective. I wasn't marketing. I wasn't performing. I was just holding a steady frequencia. And those who needed that exact signal, they found me without a map. That's what happens when your coherencia becomes your calling card. Your presence stabilizes fields now. You walk into a chaotic room and something shifts. Not because you do anything, because you are something. I noticed this at a family gathering last year. Everyone was arguing, energy was jagged, tension was thick. I sat down, didn't say a word, just anchored into my breath and my center. Within minutes, the volume dropped. Conversations softened. Someone even said, "It feels calmer in here now." I didn't fix anything. I didn't mediate. I just refused to match the frequency of chaos. Think of yourself as a tuning fork. When you're vibrating at a clear tone, everything around you starts to align with that resonancia. Not force, pure presence. Here's what they don't tell you about crossing the threshold. You become responsible for the campo quantico you affect. Even when you're silent. Even when you're alone. Your internal state ripples outward like a stone in water. When you're anxious, people around you get edgy. When you're peaceful, they exhale without knowing why. I tested this dozens of times. Grocery store lines, meetings, traffic. The moment I shift my internal frequency, the external environment responds. Not always, not perfectly, but consistently enough that I can't unsee it. You're not just living your life anymore. You're influencing the field just by existing in it. That's not pressure. That's power. Gratitude becomes your permanent tone. Not as a practice you remember to do, as a baseline you operate from. I wake up grateful before my feet hit the floor, not for things, for the frequency itself, for the ability to choose my state, for the awareness that I'm participating in creation moment to moment. This isn't toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. I still feel frustration, sadness, anger, but underneath it all, there's this hum of thankfulness that never turns off. It's like a carrier wave that everything else rides on. And that tone, it magnetizes everything that matches it. Opportunities, people, synchronicities. The campo quantico doesn't reward perfection. It responds to resonancia, and gratitude is the highest frequency there is. You're not trying to become a transmitter anymore. You already are one. The only question is, What are you broadcasting? Most people transmit their wounds, their fears, their conditioning, and then wonder why life feels heavy. But you've learned to clean the signal, to hold a frequency that uplifts rather than depletes, to be the calm in the storm without saying a word. And here's the profound part. Once you embody this, once you live as a walking transmission of coherence, something shifts in how you relate to everything. Even the mundane becomes sacred, even the ordinary becomes ceremony. Let me show you what I mean. There's no separation anymore between spiritual and mundane. Washing dishes is meditation, driving is presence practice, answering emails is ceremony. It's not that you've made everything spiritual. You've realized it always was. You just couldn't see it before. Think about breathing. You don't stop midday and say, now I'm doing spiritual breathing. You just breathe. Constantly, unconsciously, perfectly. That's what integration feels like. The sacred isn't something you schedule. It's the baseline of every moment. Grocery shopping becomes a practice in alineamento. Traffic becomes a test of your frecuencia. Every single interaction is an opportunity to stay in coherentia or slip out. And you're aware of it all. I remember the exact moment this clicked. I was washing dishes, frustrated, rushing to get to more important things. Then I stopped. Really felt the warm water. Noticed my breath. Observed the resistance in my body. And suddenly, it was all practice. There was nowhere to get to. Nothing more important than this exact moment, this exact presence. My entire life transformed not because I added more spiritual practices, but because I stopped compartmentalizing. Every act became infused with awareness. Making coffee, walking the dog, sitting in silence. It all carries the same weight now, the same reverence. Not because I'm forcing it, because I finally see what was always true. Real freedom isn't controlling what comes next. It's harmony with what is. Right now. You can be at peace in the middle of a storm, not because there's no storm, but because you're not resisting it anymore. I used to think peace meant having everything figured out, every problem solved, every plan secured. That's not peace. That's control. Real peace is sitting in uncertainty and breathing steady, watching chaos unfold and staying centered, facing the unknown and trusting your resonancia to guide you through. I've practiced this in rush hour traffic, in financial uncertainty, in relationship tension. The circumstances don't determine my state anymore. My frequency does. The paradox is this. The moment you stop needing life to be different, it starts shifting in ways you couldn't have orchestrated. You stop forcing outcomes and outcomes start finding you. You stop demanding clarity, and clarity emerges naturally. You stop grasping for control and discover you never needed it. This isn't resignation, it's alignment. It's recognizing that the campo quantico is far more intelligent than your planning mind. Your job isn't to figure it all out. Your job is to stay in frequency and let the field arrange the details. I've watched this happen hundreds of times now. The less I grip, the more flows. The more I trust, the more synchronicities appear. You've crossed the final threshold when ordinary life becomes your greatest teacher. When you don't need retreats or ceremonies or peak experiences to feel connected, because you're connected doing laundry. When you realize the sacred was never somewhere else. It was here, in the breath you just took, in the choice you're about to make, in the presence you're learning to hold no matter what's happening around you. This is what it means to live as a conscious transmitter. Not performing spirituality, embodying it so completely that there's no distinction anymore. You and the frequency are one. And everything you touch, everyone you meet, every moment you inhabit becomes an extension of that coherencia. This is the life you've been preparing for. You're not looking for signs anymore. You are the frequency. The 5 patterns, coherent manifestation, informational access, probability navigation, relationship orchestration, and collapse tests, aren't goals. They're just evidence of what you've already become. Here's the final truth. You crossed the threshold when you stopped needing something to prove you crossed it. This is real life now. No mystical filters, just radical presence. Waking up, making coffee, answering messages, making decisions. All of it is the practice. The quantum field isn't somewhere else. It's here, in you, through you. So here's what to do in the next 7 days. Observe how many times you collapse a possibility before it manifests. Just observe. Don't force change. Today, choose one small decision: what to eat, which route to take, and maintain coherence with it without questioning. And pick one area where you're forcing an outcome. Release control for 48 hours. Watch what moves when you stop pushing. If this video resonated, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The next stage will show you how to operate at this frequency without losing your sanity in the real world. Until then, stay coherent. The field already knows who you are.